Hello and welcome back to our next episode in our interaction series, Byte-Sized tutorials, and we're going to move on to adding extra interactions to objects that can control remote objects. It sounds a little bit confusing, so what I mean by that is, for instance, a light switch. A light switch will control a light. Now, you don't want to put the light switch and the light in the same blueprint, as it were, because if you put the objects in there, you'll have to make sure that they're always in the exact right place, and you won't be able to move either of them around without moving the other. It just won't work very well. So you want to keep your two objects separately, so you can literally have a switch this side of the room and the light over this side of the room. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to be able to add the element of being able to control remote objects. Now, one thing I did notice from last time, I don't know if we did this together or not, but if you come into your modern door, I don't know if I did this by mistake here, or whether I showed you to do this as well by mistake. I'd actually set here by mistake. I'd called something else. I think I'd actually called the function to interact. I think I called fn interact is what I'd done. I think I called that there, which is fn interact, which would have caused an infinite loop. So if I've done that, I apologize. It should be door interact, should be on your fn interact on your modern door. Okay, so just clear that up just before we get into the rest of the nitty-gritty. So what are we going to do? So as you remember, that all the actors, the interact actors, come from a parent class called interact actor. Okay, now for this new extension to work, all we need is one thing in here at the moment, and that's a new variable. So if you click plus on your variables and call it control target. Now, as you can see, I've misspelt it, but I did that on purpose because I already have it, because I've been playing with this already. You set this one to actor and object reference, and over on the right hand side here it'll probably be single, so you want to change that to array. Also open the eye for visibility. I'm just going to delete that extra one, so you'll have control target of type actor, array, and make sure that the eye is open so it's public and viewable. That's all we need in the interact actor. We don't need anything else as far as I can remember. No, I've not done anything else in there. No, so that's fine. So you can close that. You'll see now in your BP Modern Door 01 or any other interact actor you've made or you've been playing with, you should be able to access that in there. So if you've got show inherited variables enabled there, you will see at the bottom control target. Okay, so if I highlight that, there's nothing in there at the moment, but we'll show you how that works in just a tick. So to control a target, we need an actor to send it to, but we also need an interface, a different interface. I don't want to use the same one, because again, we want to be able to filter by this interface maybe at some point. So maybe not as in the same way, but we still may need to do a filter of some sort. So if you come to your content drawer, and where you've created your other BPI interact, right click, blueprint, blueprint interface, and call it BPI underscore control target. Once you have that, double click, and your first function that will already be highlighted to make, call it fn underscore send message. Okay, and it'll create this node, but it won't have anything in it. So if you highlight that function and you want to click plus on your inputs, first one you want to call command, and you want to use the type of string. And the next one you want add another one, call it params, and type string, but then type then change the type from single to array. So it'll be like that, yeah. And then just compile and save. So I'll just explain this. The reason I've done it this way rather than hard typing in commands is I want to be able to add as many commands as I like, but I don't want to have to hard code them in and add a new command every time into this interface. Whereas this way, all I've got to do is send a string character through with a command and any parameters that go with it. I can have an endless number of commands with just one function instead of having a function for every command. So that's why I created a send message, yeah. So you can compile and save, and you can close that because we don't need that anymore. We then need to come to your content drawer, and wherever you saved your interact actor, in the same folder, right click and blueprint class, type actor, and call it BP control target actor. I'm going to delete this one because I already have it. BP control underscore control target actor. Again, call it like you like. It's not set in stone as long as you know what it is and what it means, and you can remember as we go through the tutorials what each thing does. Double click it. Ignore what we've got here on the screen at the moment. First thing you want to do is you need to add in your interface. So you want to come to your class settings at the top and then go to your implemented interfaces and click add and type in there BPI. Mine doesn't show because I've already got it, but BPI underscore control target. Yeah, BPI control target. That adds that in. That will add your interface here. You may have to compile and save for it to show. That brings this in here. Also, what will be here is if you've got your show inherited variables. Sorry, no, this doesn't matter. We're going to add this in. Sorry, I'm thinking too far ahead. We need to add in a variable, and you want to call it toggle status of type Boolean, and make it viewable as well. This is just for debugging purposes, a lot of these viewables, but I like to do that so I can see what's going on. So what are we going to do with this status? So this is our very most basic part, and this is all I've added in so far. We're going to extend this later on possibly for different things, but this is the basic thing you can do with a remote command, and that's kind of like a light switch or a lock. You can enable or disable something, and that's what the toggle status is. So if it's a light switch, it'd be toggle on, toggle off. If it's a door lock, toggle on, toggle off. If it's a remote feature like a door code object that you've got separately, again, on, off, yes, no, true, false, Boolean. So what we want to do is we want to update that when it receives a message. So to figure that out, we need to separate the incoming commands. At the moment, we know we've only got one, and we called it well, we're going to call it toggle, because that's our most basic form of command that we can do. So let me disconnect these because we're going to build this now. Let's disconnect all these. In fact, delete those. Double click on your FN send message and you'll come to the event for send message. So if that's ever triggered on this actor, this is where it comes. And what we want to do is want to figure out what the command is we're sending. So if you drag off here, type in switch on string, and it's this bottom one here, and that node will appear. Your selection here will be your command here. So select that into there. So let me explain what this is doing. Switch on string will create different routes depending on the different commands you the different words you put into this pin names. Okay, so we've got a default pin name. Can we hide that? Yes. We don't want the default because we're not going to have a default. We're only ever going to send a particular command through. So let's, for example, add a pin. Okay, and we can call this one toggle. Okay, so that's going to be the main thing we want for things like switches, and that's the only command we're going to be making at the moment. We may add more later on, we may not, but this just makes it configurable that we can. So we know we're going to have a command toggle. Okay, we could also have a command, I don't know, something stupid like self destruct. Yeah, that gives us a different path. So if the command comes through as toggle, it goes this way. If a command comes through on self destruct, it comes this way. And that's just renamed it as I did it. How strange. I don't know how it's done that. But we don't need this second one at the moment, so we'll delete that. So all you should have done is remove the default pin by unticking this. Ignore the case sensitive just in case you accidentally type a capital letter somewhere, and it'll still work. It makes a difference. And you should have one pin name in the array, and we've called it toggle. What you want to do then is add a new function and call it fn_toggle. And we'll go into here. Let me disconnect these again. So it's all, in fact, let me just delete them because I can do this again. So you want to click on your input node here for toggle, and you want to come across and you've got inputs here. Click plus, type in params, and then you want type string and an array rather than a single. Yep. So it should look like that. Yeah. What we want to do then is we want to switch. We want to switch this status. Yeah. So we'll bring this out, drag it on there, and we'll get a set. And then we drag it out again, but into some empty space, and we'll do a get. And then we'll do our old friend, the not boolean. So you can either type in not boolean or the exclamation mark, which means not, and click on not boolean and put that into your status. And I'll just do that to tidy them up. Then what we want to do is, even though this toggle doesn't need any parameters, we're always going to send the parameters back out the other end in case we use them somewhere else. So it's always good practice just to link things up. So to do this anyway, we've got to do a return node. So drag off the set, add return node. Okay. And we want to add the output out params. Yep. Oh, that didn't work. Out params. Oh, for some reason it's not letting me use it. Have I still got the old one here? Why can't I use out params? Out param. Oh, out param works. That's unusual. Type is string and set to array as well, which means all we'll do is pass through those through to there. It just helps keeping things consistent. So you can compile and save that. It might be because I didn't compile and save when I changed the name, when I deleted the other one that I had there. No, it doesn't like params at all, so it has to be param. Really strange. Okay, doesn't matter. So we're toggling the status on and off, and we're sending it back out the other side. Yeah. Okay, so that looks like all we need. So if we double click our send message, we now need to call that here. So the best way to do that is to drag the function out and onto the toggle and drag out the params into the params. Always best to pass them through, and they're always there in case you want to add extra things on, because there might be something you want to do with params afterwards. There might be like some sort of buffing you want to do on there, or something, some details you want to change. You could actually get it to change the status of the light's name, like on or off. Like, there's a lot of things you can do. Compile and save, and that's your base target actor. So you should have a toggle status. A construction script is empty on this one because it's in the master. So we've got fn toggle, which just toggles the toggle status, and the send message, which detects the command. If it's a toggle, we play the function toggle, and we've cooked our parameters in. That's it. Simple. Done. In your content drawer, you want to right click on the same actor, the control target actor, and click create blueprint class, child class, sorry. So right click, create child blueprint class, get it right. I'm going to delete mine because I've already made one, and I will give you the name of that now. I've put mine in this folder lights. You can put yours whatever you like. I called it BP underscore CT for control target underscore light. You name yours how you like. This is just my naming convention. It's just the way I'm doing it. So you want to open that. Right. As you can see, if you've got your show inherited variables on, you should be able to see your toggle status here. Yep. FN send message is always there. We've got an underlying control on that anyway, so this one will not need it. In your viewport, with the BPCT light selected, click add and type in light. Now I've chose point light. Choose whichever one you like. Just make sure it's something you can see when you've got it out. So skylight might not be a good idea. Point light, probably the best way to do it. So we created a light. It's smack bang in the middle. And what we're going to do is set this light up that it can be controlled remotely. So we already know FN send message is going to toggle this status. So we don't need to put extra code in there. It's going to happen regardless. Yeah. So we need to detect when this toggle happens. So if we go into FN toggle, oh, why is that having a mad one? That's odd. Why has that done that? Have I changed something? That's really odd. Really strange. Okay, so your parent FN toggle should be on there. It must be on there. If it's not, I think you can right click on the node and add call to parent function, and it will put it on there for you. If it doesn't automatically hook it up, just do what it's got on the screen. Exec to exec, and then params to params. Okay, that's why it wouldn't change. I think it's because I changed something here, which is what made that params not work earlier, but never mind. So now we've got our toggle. That's automatically going to change this for us. So if we know that's changed, we can use that to set the lights on and off. So bring your light out, drag off the light and type set visibility. Click on that, will give you this node, and then drag out your toggle status onto the new visibility pin. So basically this toggles the status. We now know whether this is on or off. And then again, drag off here, add return node, and then drag the out params of the FN toggle into the out params here on the return node, just for consistency. Okay, we save that. So now you have an FN toggle which is going to toggle the light based on the toggle status. But now what we need to do is, as our default status is always false, we could change that default status to true. But the problem is, if we set it to true or set it to false, we need to make sure the light follows suit straight away. So rather than go to the light and go down here and go set visibility, no, it's not set visibility, it's just visibility, right? We could switch that off if we change to match the negative, or if we change it to default to true, we can switch that back on. Yeah, it seems like a lot of messing about and you could easily forget. So the best way to do this is on your construction script. We'll do exactly the same as this, but when it first loads in, or when it first gets updated or enters into the world. So you have construction script, runs the parent construction script. If not, again, right click, call to parent function, make sure that's in there. Don't think we put anything construction script, but just in case. Drag your point light out, drag off and type set visibility, and drag your toggle status into there. So as you can see, point light visibility is on, which technically means the light should be on. So if I disconnect this just for now, just to show you, and I save and compile, and I come in here, I've got one of these lights here. Yeah, I've dragged it into the scene. You can see it's on. Yeah, so if I drag it sort of over here and then over there, just above there, yeah, it's on. But that's no good to me because at the moment the toggle status is off. That means it will always be opposite to what we've got. So if we drag this into here now and compile and save, it's now off. Yeah, light's not on. So it matches the toggle status. Brilliant. There we go. So with that done, I think we've got everything there. We don't have to do anything with send message because we're taking the toggle. If we're sending a different type of command that's not like a default command, because toggle's a default command that can go anywhere. That's why I've employed it in the parent. You may have a unique command for this, and that's where you put it on here. If it's a unique command just to this light, you would put it in there. Okay, but apart from that, we haven't got to put anything else. We've got our let's just delete that off because we don't need it. We've got our FN toggle, and we've got our construction script that set the light to the status, which is this boolean here. Okay, so our light's done. There we go. Now how do we control it? Well, that's the fun now. Here we go. So as we added in, minimize this, sorry, as we added in this extra code to our interact actor, so if I can click on this and come over here, see we've now got the control target. Okay, so I'm going to click on this and it comes up index none. You could clue that and you could choose your item from the list, or you could use the dropper, click on the light there. So I've selected, sorry, you must drag, make sure you've dragged a copy of your light into the scene. Yeah, place it where you want. Best to place it somewhere near this cube and ball that we've got here, even though it says on the cube. Okay, because we're going to be showing you how this works. So you click on there, click the dropper, select the light. Yeah, that is now linked, and because the light uses the default status, toggle status, interacting with this object should now interact with this light, and we'll test that now. So if I run it, you can see the light's not on. If I interact, you can see the light's on. Yeah, and the light's off because we're just using the basic toggle. We're not interacting. Yeah, and that's all we've done. So if I remove this, just delete that, it won't do nothing now. There's nothing to control. So if you had a string of these lights, which we'll just show that now, if you hold ALT and then drag off the green there and bring that one over there and do it again there, go back to our cube, click plus, and then select the first one as the first light, this one as the next light, this one as the next light, and we'll run that, go up, and there we go. We've got lights coming all the way across here and then off. And now if I remove the middle one, yeah, just to prove it's not just switching them all on from one call, if I do this, we've got just two lights. And it's not as good at, let me move this a little bit further, maybe it's the radius of the light, but just to show you that it's not pure fluke. Look, the middle one's off but the other one's on all the way over there. Yeah, and that's how it works, and that switches them off. Okay, I'm going to remove these other two lights because I don't need them. Before you remove the lights, it's probably best to remove them off here. So I'm going to remove light 3 off there. So click on your funky cube ball sphere thing and get rid of any of the lights you'll delete. I'm keeping this one, but I'm getting rid of this one. So that's not linked anymore. And that one, and that's not linked anymore. If it's linked, it will come up with an error. So you're going to be sitting there now and thinking, well, mine doesn't do that. Of course it doesn't. And now we just bring on to the part that where we program your object here to configure the light, to switch the light. Okay, so we haven't yet put that code in for you. I've already got it because obviously I've been testing this out beforehand to try and make sure this is all working, and I don't want to come in here completely blind. So what I want to do is my interact cube, if I open that, And here is an interaction text. Now, this isn't a custom. Sorry, I had some code in here. That was running the that switch. If you notice, it's not there now. So I will be in the same situation as you. So just so to show you, if I make sure that's hooked to the light, bring the light across a bit, and if I walk up and I interact now, nothing. Yep, nothing at all. So to recontrol this light, my interact cube, it is connected there. I need to put some code in. Now originally I had it in here, but now I'm going to put it in its proper place, which is in its parent, which is the interact object. Now I've tidied all my folders up now, so yours might not look as tidy as this, so you might want to do that. You might want to change and tidy things up best however you feel. It matters not where you put stuff, just remember where you put them. So our interact actor now needs to be able to tell something that it's doing something. So if I double click this, and this is what I've plugged in, I'm going to delete that. And basically this is the interact actor interface. Let's delete that. Right. So if we come to interfaces, which is we've already put this in here. If we haven't, pretty sure we have, but just in case we haven't, we need to make sure your interface FN interact is in there by going to class settings, add VPI interact. Yeah, I think we've already got it in there though. Right, double click or drag it out will give you this node. Make sure you're in your interact actor, your base class. Yeah, we then want to cycle through all these control targets. So if we drag this out and do the get, and we drag off the blue pin here and do a for loop. So what that will do is that will iterate through every single one of the actors that we've got saved, like I did with the other lights. Every single actor that's in there, it will go through and it will do whatever we want. And what we want it to do is send that message to toggle. So to do that, we need to drag off here and we need to type send message. And this is it here, and basically the control target is a message interaction which allows us to send directly information from one object to another. The target object is the array element, because that's the control target list. The command is, for now, just toggle, and we have no parameters. Even though we've passed them through and everything, we have none. So if we click pile and save, now every time FN interact is called, it will run this loop and it will send that message. We then need to go into the interact cube. If I delete this, and for some reason it's not showing. There we go, compile and save because I deleted it. There we go, interfaces, there we go. So if I come down here, I've got my FN interact inside my interact cube. Yeah, double click it and it brings this out. Now the problem with this is it's not automatically calling its parent. Now it's actually a good thing in a sense, because you may not want to use the toggle, but it matters not if you do or not. But this you might not want to use it. But as you can see here, the event tick and the parent event tick calls to its parent tick first before we do any code. You don't have to. You can actually chop that off and jump in the middle or whatever. And that's what's happening here. Now for some reason it's not automatically putting it in, but like I says, it might be a good thing. Right click and then add call to parent function. For some reason it doesn't automatically hook it up, but all you got to do is that. Okay, compile and save. And that now means our interact cube will automatically call the interact from the parent function, which is our interact action here, and it's sending the toggle. So no matter what, it will always send the toggle if we call our parent function. If you don't want toggle to be sent, you can just basically delete that part and you can put your own code in there for what you want it to do. So if we save that, come along to our cube, we've got the light targeted, and now let's have a look. We have a light that switches on and off. Now, other thing we can do is let's move our light across here above the door, and we could actually send a message to the door. Now, what do we want to do when it goes to the door? Well, the door, I suppose in effect, could do a toggle. Well, I'm not going to go into the code too much of the door and change it too much, but let's open it up. But yes, I did, sorry, I put the FN interact in there. Yep. So now the toggle will work and it will automatically send it. Okay, so what we could do here is, so this is the exact same code. So this is in the door, FN interact, call to the parent function, but we're still calling our door interact because we have interactions for controlling the animation of opening and closing the door. We could probably inaugurate that a little bit into this in FN interact, but there's no real need to. We'll just leave it as it is. Okay, but what we could do now is we could call this and add the door to our dodgy looking I'm a cube but it's really a cube and a sphere switch by adding another, click the pipette and click on the door, click save, and now this should, if we look at it that way around, it switches the lights on, but it's not opening the door, which is why isn't it opening the door? So the reason it's not opening the door is because what I've done is there's no interact between this and that door. We've not actually done anything. So to be fair, that wouldn't probably be a good idea doing that yet. But what we will do is we will have a control target for this object, and we've add the light here. So control target, add element, pipette, light. So what we could do instead is, now we've added that in there, when we come and open this door, it switches the light on and it switches it back off. It just opens a whole new world of controllability and it just had a whole new versatility to things. So you can control whatever you like, basically. A bit like our little switch over there, you can have it do all sorts of things. Maybe an Indiana Jones style boulder comes rolling at you. That'd be interesting, wouldn't it? A physics one, see how that works. Make it inflict incredible amounts of damage if it hits you. But yeah, that's basically interaction with distance control, and then also the light here. But obviously we've got no code in the door that translates into opening the door, because it's not a controllable item. We would have to add something else in, maybe like a proxy device, like a proxy, yeah, maybe just a proxy that will open the door if we want to use a lever to open it, or maybe unlock it or something. We'll look into that into probably the next episode, so that we can do a few more things. Yeah, I think maybe the unlock would be good. So maybe a proxy actor that links to the door for locking and unlocking. So yeah, probably a door lock proxy of some sort. But maybe we'll look next maybe at creating a switch itself, or possibly even a code lock. I'll look into what I've got objects available to see what I can actually make as far as that's concerned. But yeah, we've got a little bit of interactivity. Now the funny thing is, now if I switch that on, it's going to turn the lights off now when I do that, and then switch that back on. So you shouldn't really have two things controlling it unless you have some way of toggling the state back once you finish with it. But that's all about your own game logic. It's things you have to think of, like silly things like that, if that controls the light as well as the door controls the light. You need to figure out, oh, do we just make sure that rather than just toggle with the door, do we do set states of on and off? Then this will just toggle regardless. Simple to do. It's just the context of the code, that's all. Anyway, I hope that was useful to you, and I will hopefully see you in the next episode. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.